Hello again. Today I'd like to talk with you about an album that has become a complete surprise for me. Moreover, it was a really pleasant surprise to hear a trip-hop album from one of the pioneers in contemporary electronic music. Despite the fact that the latest works of this artist have been unnoticed by me personally, I was still highly anticipating the current release after hearing the first singles from the album. Eventually, I got what I've been waiting for: Moby, an American electronic musician who is basically famous for his simple bass tracks like Why Does My Heart Feel So Bad, Porcelain, etc. Still, it's also notable that his music has always been varying stylistically from trip-hop to alternative rock, like in another famous track Lift Me Up, and even to some pop tunes like Gem for the Ladies. Anyways, I'm really glad that the current album, Everything Was Beautiful and Nothing Hurt, follows an original musical approach that has initially brought fame to Moby. In other words, this album is 12 trip-hop tracks infused with sadness, with the inclusion of sample-based instrumentals, extensive use of female vocal parts, singing choruses, and more spoken word lines in almost each verse of these tracks. As usual, let us start the review with the album cover and the title. Here we can see a parent with a child sitting in a train and going somewhere. Seems like the parent goes to his routine job while the child goes to his regular lessons at regular school. What is more interesting, both got cause heads on the human bodies, which suggests that they might be similar to basic cattle that is simply led somewhere. It also suggests that the people depicted on the album cover are destined to have a routine life, starting from the routine education process, further followed by a routine career growth path. This surreal picture is also drawn in dark tones, which in general highlights the moodiness and drama of the image, especially when considered the title of the book, which the cow child reads. It tells everything was beautiful and nothing hurt, like a slogan proclaiming that the past was better than contemporary reality is now. So, it's like a depiction of a contemporary society that is surreal in representation and realistic in its meaning. This very title, Everything Was Beautiful and Nothing Hurt, serves as a great summary of each and every piece of lyrics offered on each of these tracks, because the text is infused with minimalistic, dark, depressive symbols while also expressing some hope and belief for a better future, and also appeals to the reason of the listeners. For example, the lyrics of The Waste of Songs start with the line, "Tell the best of it, how I say," further followed by more bespoken words, "The waste of songs, the sight of wrongs, the seasons waiting for you, all are waiting for you, coming down." So yes, it's minimalistic, and yes, these lines can be explained and interpreted indifferently, and yes, this is depressive as hell. Still, it is trip-hop, and rarely we can find a happy tune in trip-hop, except the Sons of Mochiba. When considered something like Massive Attack, Tricky, and obviously Moby, the lines of lyrics are at least melancholic. Anyway, I like the stuff and find it original, especially in contemporary music where there is almost no place left for trip-hop from both mainstream and underground artists. From a musical standpoint, it is also a breath of fresh air for every fan of trip-hop music, because we've had no chance of listening to something similar since the release of the latest Massive Attack EPs. The instrumentation is also minimalistic, follows a trip-hop drum pattern with the inclusion of various drum samples followed by guitar and bass lines, mostly playing rhythmic patterns and chords. These are also layered by airy synth and pads creating ambient rather than leads. In other words, the instrumentation of the album is mostly ambient and highly rhythmic, performed in slower tempos. The whole melodies and leads of the tracks are created by the vocals. Moreover, by the guest vocals performing hooks, repeating the same line, chanting as like, "Sometimes I feel like a motherless child," or "The dark cloud is coming." It's also minimalistic and airy, creating the atmosphere and decorations for the story told by lyrics indirectly and leaving space for listeners' imagination. Therefore, I'm really satisfied with the album, and I find it really helpful during times of sadness or when experiencing some depressive feelings or whatever. It was similar to the older works of Moby, when I've been listening to Why Does My Heart Feel So Bad or Natural Blues and feeling emotionally and mentally relieved rather than depressed even further. The same goes for the current album, which I'd recommend for listening to every trip-hop fan and also for everyone willing to listen to something with a slow tempo, groovy and airy instrumentals. Really like the album, really. That's why I give it 4.5 out of 5. That's it for today. If you like the video, please give it a like, and if you are here for the first time, consider subscribing. Also leave a comment whether you listen to the album or not, whether you like it or not, and about what should I review next in my next video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my Telegram, Instagram and Twitter pages. The links you'll find in the description below. So, that's it for today. Thanks everyone and goodbye to everyone.